What are you feeling? What's going on in that head of yours, Roger?
I don't know where to start. Truth of the matter is, I don't know what to say.
Let's talk about your childhood.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk about my childhood. Nothing worth talking about.
Okay, that's okay. We don't have to go there.
These memories, these thoughts, it makes me think, what were we even fighting for? What freedom were we fighting for?
What about now? The war is over. Don't you feel free now?
This ain't freedom.
Does this have to do with your family, your children?
I think about my son. What world did I bring him into?
What do you remember about that day in June on the beach?
I was part of the barrage balloon battalion. I remember storming the beach that day. Hundreds of soldiers, my brothers. We provided protection to the ships, to the soldiers. A lot of men died that day. I felt like we were just collateral.
And so, in this poignant hour, I ask you to join with me in prayer. Almighty God, our sons, pride of our nation, this day have set upon a mighty endeavor, a struggle to preserve our republic, our religion, and our civilization, and to set free a suffering humanity. Lead them straight and true. Give strength to their arms, stoutness to their hearts, steadfastness in their faith. They will need thy blessings. Their road will be long and hard.
Dave, thank you for meeting me. I'm totally baffled by your latest video. Your progress keeps on going up and up and up. I mean, I've been following you since your what was it? It was the time travel film.
Oh, Borrowing Time?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was floored, man. That was the best AI video I've ever seen up until then. And of course, I became a fan when you created Adidas back in Coffee Break.
the famous coffee break.
The
That
famous
became a
Coffee
thing.
Break. Exactly. It became viral on Reddit. Awesome. Yeah, so your latest work is called Watch Battalion, and it's another groundbreaking video in terms of storytelling, in terms of technicality, how to edit the stuff, because that's also important, very important.
Hmm.
And it seems you know what you're doing, of course. And with creatives of your caliber, you must have so many stories to tell. But how do you decide which story will you tell? What clicks?
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean, yeah, to your point, I probably have at least 5,000 ideas for stories. I mean, this is collected over 20 years of just really being into filmmaking since I was like 18, going into college, and yeah, yeah, you can imagine for, someone who went to film school, even while I was working in advertising, my goal and dream was always to be a filmmaker. So I have always, wrote screenplays. I actually got repped here at a talent agency in LA because, from my writing, and then also as directing second. But there was just, as a screenwriter first, you always can write down these ideas and you can visualize them in your head to a certain extent. But because I'm also a director, I know how to capture images through a lens, through a camera, through performance. So when AI was, when I really started getting into AI, like I said, I told someone it feels like Christmas morning every day. Especially, I mean, look, the Pika was just announced 1.5, and it's another reason exactly why we love what we do. We get to wake up to a new tool set, we get to wake up to new opportunities, and the first thing I think about is which one of my 5,000 ideas can I try it out on?
Yeah, but don't you feel like overwhelmed of so many possibilities that you can create? Not just your stories, but everything you see, you just incorporate and let's upgrade this, and do
You
something
know?
unimaginable.
Yeah, I would probably say I was overwhelmed at first, and then now it's like a different kind of feeling. It's more like I'm like it's like I can't wait to like try something out. So it's almost like a different feeling than being overwhelmed. It's like I don't have enough time to do what I want to do. It's probably more of a time issue than an overwhelm issue.
I know the feeling. Yeah. So why did you decide to create Watch Battalion?
So yeah, Battalion was an idea that actually came from initially from my talking to my dad about my grandfather, who served in World War II. He was in France, and then he kind of similar to Battalion with my father's story. It was a story of you're going to serve a country, you're overseas, and you're still treated, not like an equal, but you're fighting for the same freedom. And then you come home after the war, where a lot of your friends were killed, just to be back in society where you aren't respected, again equally. So I just thought that was an interesting story. Where if you think about it, you're going to fight for a country, put your life on the line, and then you come home and it's like you're considered half human in society, which back during the 40s through the 60s, that's kind of how it felt.
So yeah, I have noticed that you are using image to video and text to video. I mean, both has its advantages, both has its
Hmm.
limits. So, I mean, beside obvious characters, which you just have to use image to video, when do you decide what to use? When do you go to text to video and when you go to image to video?
Yeah, it's become a subconscious decision making process. Kind of usually I start with some form of outline or an animatic. I mean, you know what an animatic is, like in the editorial world. So kind of as I'm building that story, I'm also looking at, different scenes that I could kind of put in between, like the first initial edit was like, 3 to 4 minutes. And I knew there was like times to kind of fill, establishing shots, and just like a way to give it more space. Cause I think a lot of people, especially in AI, they kind of rush to get like an edit out there quicker. And I felt like, it was the perfect film to like just let it breathe, give it some room. So I kind of use tools like Minimax to create really cool establishing shots, and I think it did pretty well.
Besides AI tools, do you use traditional tools? Do you draw your storyboards?
Sometimes, like in a journal, sometimes I start out with sketch. I think more so like writing wise, I still like to write, so I'll write the script, but I'll use like Chat GPT to kind of help. And then let me think. Other kinds of tools like VFX tools, like the only VFX shot in that whole entire spot was actually the one you called out with the
Yeah.
bullets. Every other thing was generative AI, which is kind of incredible. That the one thing I used it for was kind of what was probably impossible to get the performance animation, the background animation, and bullets flying. So I had to comp that in. But that's the only VFX shot in the whole entire spot is the bullets.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, let's get back to that shot. I mean, I was just how no, he didn't use AI for it. It's just impossible. So I was thinking maybe he prompted bullets penetrating the water. Yeah, but this could go with text to video, but he has a character, so that's practically impossible for now. So yeah, my suspicion went to the VFX. What did you use for the bullets?
Yeah, so I started with text to video, trying to get the bullets flying through, and you got some cool little like moments of things kind of slicing by, but it just looked so fake. So eventually, I used actually there was a stock image that I purchased that was literally bullets just kind of going into water, and then I used After Effects and kind of just mapped it with the shot motion tracking with the cam because you kind of notice it's like a that's what makes it feel more real too is the handheld look
Yeah,
and then the
yeah.
bullets flying in. So that was done with After Effects.
So camera move was prompted or was it added in After Effects?
Camera move was After Effects too. The whole sequence, yeah, with the
Yeah.
bullets and the yeah.
Sound design, your choice of music for your videos is excellent. Do you work with sound effects? I mean, do you get help from other people? Do you work with AI regarding sound effects and music in your videos?
Yeah, sometimes I work with different composers and sound designers, but for this one I actually did all the sound design myself. I used primarily 11 Labs text to sound, so it was all mostly AI sound. Music, part of the music was AI, and then there was a track that a buddy of mine, Chris Branch, actually remixed using AI. I think he used a tool called Fader, pulled all the stems out, and then used like Udio or one of those other programs to then add in new sounds, and he composed it all in Pro Tools. So pretty cool. Chris Branch is actually the he runs artificial inspiration on LinkedIn. Really good friend of mine, super talented AI artist, but he's also a musical genius. I didn't know he was like, he always sends me like tracks he's remixing with AI stems. I'm like, how are you doing this? It's like incredible. And that's what kind of led to like, let's collaborate on this music. Like, I want to use this song. I don't want to just throw it in there. Like, I feel like it needs to add horns, it needs to feel like Christopher Nolan, like epic, like that kind of epic scene when he's charging up the hill. It's like the perfect type of swell in the music. So yeah, he did that with mostly AI tools.
Yeah, yeah. Talking about emotions, I mean, about a year ago, I was asking in interview, will AI invoke feelings? And I said, probably not, but holy shit. Uh, Seeing your movie, I mean, everything is there. I mean, the emotions, the acting, everything is there. So was acting a part of prompting, was a part of something else? Because now we have live portrait and you can actually
Mhm.
reenact your actors acting. Yeah. So did you just prompt it or?
Yeah, so the way I did it was I prompted the video like in Kling of the gentleman talking, the AI character talking, and then I brought that into Comfy UI using advanced live portrait over video. And then I did the voiceover, which a lot of people don't know, but I did professional VO for a couple years. So I went to acting class, so I know I'm a filmmaker, but I was actually an actor first, which is funny. But yeah, so yeah, that's where I think like VO artists have like a new lifeline. It's like you can actually be the lead of a film if you can, act with your voice talent. So obviously, actors can do it naturally, but I honestly think that that's the immediate future with this technology. It's going to, you still need, like to your point, you still need a human performance. Even with AI characters, it can get you like 50, 60, 70% there, but you have the actor is what makes it believable. You can add emotion to like the eyes and the expressions and live portrait. I just tried lip dub. I think you and I talked about that. Really impressive. And
Oh, you
Kling just
got
came
the
out with,
access?
I got access. Yep. I talked
Awesome.
to one of the, I went straight to one of the top dogs. I was like, dude, I need this. Like,
Yeah.
here, check out Battalion. I'm worth it.
Yeah.
Let me get in on this. So I got in, tested it out, and I mean, obviously the rendering time takes a while because it's really training it.
Exactly. It's
Like,
training.
so
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So it's doing it like the professional way.
Yeah.
But it's going to, yeah, it's for me, it's going like obviously as the generations and time gets faster, which I'm sure it can if you like you did a like an enterprise level deal with someone like them.
Mhm.
But like the quality was like spectacular. And then
Yeah,
Kling just came out with a lip sync tool that's also pretty good.
so I actually think that this advanced live portrait is creating a new industry where we will have post-production for acting. So you will have actors, and when in post-production, the director will say, "Okay, I need those 10%," and they will hire a face actor, and they will
Mhm.
do the expressions, and with the post-production, they will just upgrade actors' acting.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think about it that way, but I think like a lot of actors who either are out of work now or weren't getting the roles that they wanted can kind of start to get those roles or at least go after those roles because I mean these are going to become films and pilots and shows. Like it's happening already. People are already starting to like think about a show bible for a series they can pitch to Netflix. I know I'm one of those people and I'm already having like serious conversations. So I mean it's a thing. It's not like something that's 5 years away. It's like no, these conversations are already starting. It might be a few years away for where it's silver screen ready, but the conversations are starting, which people know that means the technology is literally going to be a year away, where it's going to be like when I mean silver screen ready, I mean indistinguishable from a Netflix show or TV as far as quality. And that could be a year away. Like that's how fast this stuff is. Yeah, I think it's very exciting. I think for some of the top caliber actors, like the Tom Cruises, the Will Smiths of the world, like they're gonna have just more. They can basically work on more films at once, which I think some of the actors who are getting older are going to enjoy. And I think for some of the new actors who can't get that leading role just yet, they could do a film using AI technology. Like, and by the way, I consider AI films its own genre. I mean, I know people try to say, "Oh, it's going to replace live action." Like, I totally don't believe that. Like, people like Hollywood still built off foundation. It's still built off Tom Cruises and Brad Pitts. Like, they still need their stars, and it's a type of experience. I feel like AI is kind of closer to like what Pixar did. It's going to kind of disrupt maybe it's a little bit of the animation industry, but eventually it's going to lead to a whole new genre of film. And the exciting thing about AI is, as you know, is it doesn't have to look, there's no one size fits all. It could look like a Pixar film. It could look closer to live action. It could look like anything you want it to look like, but it's still going to be like this, the way you capture performance, motion tracking. There's still going to be a 3D element to it. Like it's going to be more closer to computer animated films more so than take over live action.
Exactly. I don't know why. I mean, I know, but there's a
Yeah,
question why people are afraid of this because we've been here before, like Billy Bowman says, because you have digital photography, you had electronic music. I mean,
yeah,
all of those new stuff didn't replace the music or photography. It's
exactly.
a branch on its own, right?
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a new
yeah.
technology. It's a new tool set for creative individuals who, honestly, like what it does is it helps level the playing field slightly. Not all the way. You still need networking. You still need connections. You still need to make good content and good films. But it does give people more of a shot. And I think people are so one side of the audience is so blind to that idea that, oh, wait a minute, no, this is actually helping us. And you don't see people, the head of studios in Hollywood, complaining about AI. You hear all the middlemen and people who maybe aren't even in art and film complaining about AI, which is, if you look at that, you're like, oh, wait a minute, why aren't they afraid? They're not afraid because they know it's part of the business.
So yeah, you already mentioned really quickly, but the full-length feature in AI, when?
Yeah, I mean, I personally believe that there will be, and I'm not speaking for myself, but I could be, that there will be a feature length film in development by next year. No, like no doubt. Definitely shows, definitely pilots, definitely series. That's kind of what, yeah. It's not even a prediction anymore. Like it's a fact. It's kind of already starting to happen as far as like ideas and development and the conversations people are reaching out to me about. And it's like the kind of people I'm talking to are like the kind of people that make our favorite films and TV. So it's like that's it's a thing, right? It's a thing, and like people who are not afraid to be a pioneer or afraid of the backlash, because the backlash is going to subside in 3 to 5 years when it's more normalized. We know that. I mean, James Cameron is a huge emission of what's to come. Like joining Stability AI. He said it the best. He's like, no one, like, he loves working with actors. So do I. I love working with DPs. I love working with crew. It's like we're trying to empower the creator. We're not trying to take away creativity. And like I said, those live action shoots, like, they're not going away. They're going to be just as important, if not still more important, honestly, as this new genre starts to emerge, because we still need to have the bar set. We still need to know where our films need to land as far as quality. And yeah, like I said, I think actors want longevity. I think they want more opportunities. I mean, who wants to only be able to make 1 or 2 films a year? I'm sure a lot of these actors want to make 5 to 10 films a year. So I think that's what it's going to allow.
So did you maybe hear about Guillermo del Toro mentioning that he said um, it's AI, it's good for semi-compelling screensavers. Did you
Yeah,
hear that?
I did, and it's funny. So Guillermo del Toro, apparently, like, he had commented on one of my works, like a long time ago. I don't remember exactly what he said, but someone had showed it to him that I was a mutual friend with, and he had said something similar. It was more along the lines of, like, you know, it's like, in the hands of true artists, I see some potential, but, like, to a certain degree, but it's not going to ever be this. So it was kind of the same sentiment, but at least then he kind of saw, like, there's something there, but it's never going to replace, what he called true artist. And I think his latest comment is, first of all, let me just state, huge fan of Guillermo. I actually looked up to him. I think his work is some of the most groundbreaking work. So, my challenge back to him would be, like, think about the very people that you stand up for, and he speaks a lot about the Mexican community, wanting to give shots to, people of color, and he stands for that. So if you truly mean that, then I think you need to look at this technology just slightly different. I'm living proof, a person of color who's been trying to get his film made for a decade in Hollywood, just like everyone else, and sometimes you don't even get your screenplay read. And I just don't think that's not how the business should work, because the business is actually potentially missing out on the next big franchise, because it's just hard to get visibility, even for the most talented individuals in Hollywood. Some of them just, they'll make one film and then they'll disappear. And it's like, well, sometimes they're not disappearing because their film was bad. They're disappearing because they can't get their stuff seen. So I think, to truly discount a new tool set that gives people, all people, women, people from all over the country, different worlds, people who don't have access to tools, a chance to show their story and give them a shot to be, a next big thing in filmmaking. I think that's where his comments don't sit well with me, because we're limiting opportunity here, and his biggest stance is giving opportunity. So I think, I'd love to sit down with him and just see if he'd ever reconsider, once he, like, again, sees how opportunity actually is helpful, because of technology.
It's going to be interesting seeing all the naysayers using all those stuff in 5 years, maybe even earlier. But yeah, it's just the fact that everybody will be using those tools. That's just a fact for me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and look, I know, like, the Christopher Nolans of the world, they're going to do as much practical. They're going to shoot, IMAX cameras for as long as they can. But I do think there's a world where they introduce it for visual effects at some point. But also, in the same breath, I think it's cool, and I think it's completely fine by me for some of the greats to stick to what they know best. I think they make some of the greatest films, and they inspire, the many of me's that are out there. And maybe that's a good thing. Let the new technology be for the new generation to allow us to have our shot. So I think it's okay if a lot of the old school cats, some of the pioneers, want to continue doing. I'll still watch their films. I'll still support. But I think it's also cool, because then it actually opens the door for some new people to tell different stories in different ways.
Exactly. Dave, thank you so much. I know you're very busy with your ideas and with your project. Thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you. It was awesome.
All right. Bye bye.